welcome to another video. Welcome to day 16 of Vida. Can you quite believe we're this far? I can't, because I'm pre-filming this, and we're not this far currently. But at the time you're watching this, this is day 16 of Vida, so I really hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're having a good time with it. I hope you're having fun. I hope I haven't failed yet. But today, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, we are going to be going through my top middle grades of all time. Now, I've tried to make this a top 10 list, however, I have 3 honourable mentions because I just can't not mention them. So, it's kind of 13, but we're going to count the first 3 as honourable mentions so I can still call it a top 10 list, yeah? You with me? Cool. I did do a top 10 middle grades of all time last summer, probably coming up for about a year ago. So some of these haven't changed, some of them have, but I thought this would be a great time to update it. We know I'm a big fan of middle grade, and people quite often ask for my top middle grade recommendations. So this is my new list of my top middle grade recommendations. Would I recommend all of these to everybody? Maybe not. But would I recommend most of these to everybody? Absolutely. Let's just crack on with it. Let's start with the 3 honourable mentions. My first honourable mention is Gargantus by Thomas Taylor. This is the sequel to Malamander, which is the story of Herbert Lemon, who is the Grand Nautilus's hotel's lost and founder. He finds lost things and aims to get them back to where they were lost from so they can be found. In the first book, a lost girl, Violet Palmer, shows up. She is lost and she would like to be found by her parents, but also the Malamander is lurking in the sea mist, and in this one the Gargantus may have awoken. So it's set in this eerie seaside town. It's like a proper tourist town in the summer, but when it gets to autumn, winter time, it becomes eerie on sea rather than cheery on sea. Super atmospheric, and it has these mythical sea legends lurking in the sea mist, in the waters, and it's the story of those creatures awaking. Are they real? Are they legend? Etc. It's really atmospheric, and I thoroughly enjoy both of these books, but Gargantus, I think, is better than the first one. So, honourable mention to that one. Surprisingly, another honourable mention is Potkin and Stubbs. I'm kind of upset that this has been bumped down on my top 10 list, but I have to mention it because I love Potkin and Stubbs. It is the story of Lil Potkin, who wants to be a big-time reporter. She is always searching for the next big scoop in this very corrupt and slightly supernatural town. She finds that next big scoop sitting across from her in the all-night bus station. Her and her friend Nedley investigate what's going on in this town, investigate the supernatural ghostly things going on, and again, super atmospheric, kind of a spooky middle grade. I love it. I've loved all 3 books in this trilogy, and I can't not recommend it, but I do recommend it a lot, so you've probably heard me speak about it before, but absolutely fantastic, and Sophie Green is a fantastic person too. Hello, son! And my next honourable mention is for The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Again, I thought this might make its way onto the actual top 10 list, but it just missed out on that. But this is a story of a witch who picks up abandoned babies from the forest. This particular village abandons the youngest baby in the village on a certain day of the year to the witch as a sacrifice. However, the witch doesn't understand why they keep abandoning babies, so she takes them, feeds them starlight, and gives them on to deserving homes. However, one girl she accidentally feeds moonlight, and we all know that moonlight is the source of magic. So she has to raise this girl as her own as her powers develop. This is super cute, really beautiful. I love this book. Made me cry. Gorgeous writing. I love it. I really love it. So, honourable mention to that one too. Now, let's get into my top 10 list. I've tried to put these in some sort of order, but this order could change depending on my mood, so don't put too much weight on the order that I talk through these in. Coming in at number 10, we have Northchild by Edith Patu. This is an East of the Sun, West of the Moon retelling that I absolutely love. This has actually been republished as Northchild, but I believe was originally published as East. So although this one was published in 2019, it was originally published in 2006. books. But yeah, East of the Sun, West of the Moon retelling, which is a retelling that I am a fan of. I really enjoy those retellings and I'm still eagerly after more of them. This follows a young girl called Rose who is taken away by a big white talking bear. And she must live with him, however, she must not look upon him at night, and it's very much the East of the Sun, West of the Moon story. So if you know that story, you'll know how it goes. Something that was more unique about this one is the emphasis on Rose being a North child. Her mother has this superstition about having a child born at each compass point, and a child born facing north is a bad omen. Those children are bad news, they will be too adventurous, they will get themselves into trouble, and it's just a bad thing to be. Aunt Rose is a North child, so her mother's superstitions kind of come to fruition when she is taken by this big white talking bear. But it's a beautiful story. It's a polar fantasy, so we know I love polar fantasies. I absolutely adore this story, and it's one of my all-time favourites. Is this one I would recommend to everybody? Probably not, because I can acknowledge that it's a chunkier middle grade and it is perhaps a little bit slow in places, but for me, the atmosphere and the fact that it's a retelling of one of my favourite stories, it's special to me. Wow, now it's really dark. I'm so confused by the lighting, I'm so sorry. Coming in at number 9 is a recent read for me, and that is Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I'm amazed that this has made it onto this list because it's such a recent read for me, and so many of these are like long-time middle grade favourites now, but I can't deny that this is absolutely fantastic. This follows a young girl called Amari whose brother went missing quite a while ago and she's always held on to the hope of finding him, and then a mysterious parcel turns up from her brother which leads her into the world of the supernatural beings, exposes her to the reality of the supernatural existence in the world that's always hidden behind her. Amari is invited for a trial at the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs where she must go through a series of tests to gain her place in the supernatural world, and in doing so she's also on the search for her brother because she thinks that this could be the key to finding him. This world was so well developed, and Amari is such a lovable character. I just loved everything about this. The plot twists, there were certain things that I saw coming, certain things that I didn't see coming, but I really loved how real this world felt and how the supernatural element of it is like based in reality as well. So it would talk about these supernatural things, and there's a whole department dedicated to like the covering up of supernatural activity, and how that kind of reflects the reality of how people think they see supernatural things. But there's a logical explanation for everything because there's a team of people that force feed you that logical explanation. You didn't see that because this whole side of the world is a secret. I just thought it was really clever. I had a fantastic time reading it, really fast paced. I enjoyed a lot. So yeah, Amari and the Night Brothers gets a spot on this list. Coming in at number 8, we have Wonderscape by Jennifer Bell. This was fantastic. This is a story of 3 kids who get sucked into an in-reality adventure game in the year 2473. So way into the future, they are sucked out of their current time period into the future, into this in-reality adventure game. I'm gonna have to hold it down because it's just making the light even worse. But yeah, they're sucked into that game and they have to work their way through the levels in the game to meet the bosses of each level, who are historical figures that we may have heard of, and each of those historical figures will hold a clue for them to get back to their real timeline, how to escape the game and get back to their reality. It's very much a Jumanji meets Ready Player One sort of story. I haven't read or watched Ready Player One, but I get the vibe, like the technical VR sort of vibe, and the Jumanji side of being sucked into a game and needing to work your way out of it. It was such a clever book, so fast-paced, like from the very beginning it was go, go, go. Such a quick read, really compelling. I had a fantastic time, and definitely one that I would recommend to a lot of people is Wonderscape by Jennifer Bell. Coming in at number 7, I have Orion Lost by Alistair Chisholm. This is a sci-fi middle grade that I have recommended quite a lot. If you're a fan of sci-fi and a fan of middle grade, you'll love this. If you're a fan of sci-fi, but not necessarily a fan of middle grade, I still think you'll love this. And if you're a fan of middle grade, but not necessarily a fan of sci-fi, I still think you'll love this. I think the audience for this book is quite vast. This was so compelling, such a fast-paced read. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. This follows a young girl called Beth, who's on a spaceship. They're moving to a new planet. They're finding somewhere new to live. They're going to be on this ship for quite a long time. However, something happens that puts all of the adults into a sleep, but not the children. And the ship is not safe, and Beth, a 13-year-old girl, needs to captain this ship back to safety. However, she has absolutely zero adult guidance and a crew of kids, which is just chaos. And alongside that, the ship's AI is a little bit suspicious, and she's not sure if she can trust that either. So all of the odds are against her. It's chaos. It's wild. I had a fantastic time reading it, and definitely recommend if you're a fan of middle grade and or sci-fi. This is fantastic. I absolutely adored it and have raved about it quite a lot, so here I go again. Coming in at number 6, we have Brightstorm by Vashti Hardy. This is a new favourite middle grade of mine since the last time I did this video, at least. I absolutely love this. It's got all the polar fantasy vibes that I love. It follows these two kids, they're twins, called Arthur and Maudie, and their father went on an expedition to South Polaris a little time ago, and he never made it back. They have been told that he died on this failed trip to reach the most southern point of South Polaris. However, a few mysterious things have led them to believe that what they've been told is possibly not the truth. So they go on an expedition to South Polaris themselves to find out the truth. It's got this fantastic found family, it's got all the polar fantasy vibes that I absolutely love. The sense of adventure is just amazing, and this book made me feel so many things. I just grew to love this cast of characters so much, and the setting and all of the vibes is everything that I adore. I've fallen in love with Vashti Hardy's writing thanks to this book, and the sequel, Dark Whispers, is equally as fantastic, despite the fact that it's not got those polar fantasy vibes. So it's not just that I loved about this, but I've definitely grown to love these characters. I love the steampunk vibes that Vashti Hardy has in her books as well. Like the airship that they use. I won't tell you what it is about that that's so special, but there's something about that airship that is really special. And this, as I say, steampunk vibe that Vashti Hardy works into it is fantastic. So this is brilliant, and another one that I would absolutely recommend to everybody. Coming in at number 5, we have Frostheart by Jamie Littler. I've got Escape to Aurora here, which is the second one, because this is my most recent read in that series, but I do love both of them equally. I just can't get over how beautiful these books are. For one, they are just absolutely stunning, but also the story is beautiful as well. Of course, it's another polar fantasy, so we've got all those polar fantasy vibes that I absolutely adore. There's a theme. I like polar fantasy middle grades. There's a lot of them. But this story follows a young boy called Ash who lives in a stronghold in the Sea of Snow, and in this world, the Sea of Snow is a very dangerous place because underneath that sea lurks the Leviathans, who are these very dangerous creatures. And in this world, everyone is a little bit afraid of song, because song weavers are said to be able to communicate with the Leviathans and control them, or the Leviathans can control the song weavers. So Ash's love for music and singing is a very dangerous thing. Ash's parents went out on a voyage across the Snow Sea when he was much younger. He was left in this particular stronghold, and he has never seen his parents since. One day, the crew of the Frostheart come to the stronghold that Ash lives at, and he joins the crew to go on an expedition across the Snow Sea in the hopes to one day find his parents. It's such an adorable found family. There are fantastic friendships made. I love the magical elements woven into this as well. The adventure, the danger, it's like a journey of survival, but exploration as well, and I absolutely love it. I love Ash, I love Luna, I love their friendship, and the crew and the, as I say, found family that they form is beautiful. Fantastic book series. I cannot wait to read the third one. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, absolutely one that I would recommend to anyone. It's beautiful, it's fantastic, and again has all those polar fantasy vibes that I love. Coming in at number 4, we have the Polar Bear Explorers Club. This is one that I have loved for a long time, one that I've spoken about for a long time, and is one that got me into my love of polar fantasy, so it holds a very special place in my heart. But this story follows a young girl called Stella Starflake Pearl and her adopted father Felix. He is a member of the Polar Bear Explorers Club, which will not accept girls into their ranks. However, Stella works her way through that, breaks a few rules, and gets herself on an expedition with the Polar Bear Explorers Club. Her and the kids end up getting separated from the main exploration party, and it is a journey of survival and danger and friendship building and adorableness, as well as coming across the most wild, wacky creatures like carnivorous cabbages. Whenever I talk about this book, I have to talk about the carnivorous cabbages, just because, like, what? What are they? Carnivorous cabbages, that's what. I love this story, I love this world, I love how much of the polar landscapes we get to see through this trilogy. I love the friendships that are formed, the found family once again, and how Stella continues to prove that even as a girl she can break those rules, she can get through and she can accomplish anything. Again, I love the little bit of magic that's sprinkled through this. We have some sorcery and some witchcraft in here as well. But there's so many magical creatures. There's yetis, there's tiny penguins. I'm pretty sure there's a tiny unicorn at a point. Like, it's just adorable. A fantastic polar fantasy middle grade that I will continue to recommend because it holds such a special place in my heart. I absolutely love it. Coming in at number 3, we have The Castle of Tangled Magic by Sophie Anderson. This is kind of standing in for any Sophie Anderson book as well. So we have The House with Chicken Legs and The Girl Who Speaks Bear as well, which could very easily fill this point. But The Castle of Tangled Magic, I think, is my favourite of the 3 so far. But Sophie Anderson has these magical middle grade tales weaving together all sorts of Slavic folklore and Russian fairy tales, and it comes together to make this beautiful world with these beautiful stories, and I absolutely love them. This one follows a young girl called Olia who lives in a castle, and in that castle there is a little bit of tangled magic, and she needs to untangle that magic to stabilize the magic in this castle. The thing that fuels Olia most is her love for her younger sister and how much she wants to make sure everything in life is perfect for her sister. She wants to be best friends with her younger sister. She wants to go on adventures with her, and she is so fueled by this love that is absolutely adorable. This one turns into a little bit of a portal fantasy where Olia goes through a portal within the castle that she's kind of stumbled across, where she meets a whole cast of characters there that are all magical in their own ways, and she has to work out how to save the castle, save the residents, and untangle the magic. It's beautiful, it's fantastic, and I love the way that this connects with the other stories as well. Like, what Sophie Anderson's doing here is this, like, weave of stories that all are somehow connected. It's fantastic. I absolutely adore them and will continue to read anything that Sophie Anderson puts out because they are absolutely gorgeous stories, fantastic worlds, so whimsically written, and I just love them so very much. So definitely has one of the top spots for Sophie Anderson. Coming in at number 2, we have A Sprinkle of Sorcery by Michelle Harrison. I can't believe I haven't yet read A Tangle of Spells, but for some reason I haven't done that yet. This is book 2 in the Pinch of Magic series that follows the Widdershins sisters, and in book 1 the Widdershins are under a curse. They cannot leave their island home because of a curse that was put on their family such a long time ago. However, Betty, the middle sister, has had enough of this. She wants to explore, she wants to go out, she doesn't want to be stuck here her entire life. And she has a stubborn streak and will do anything she sets her mind to. So it's an adventure of them breaking the curse. It's got this fantastic atmosphere. It's again got that sort of creepy vibe. Michelle Harrison does like to put in a little spooky element in there, like the atmosphere is definitely on the darker side, but I absolutely love it. But the thing that stands out most about this series to me is the sisters. Fliss, Betty and Charlie are the Widdershins sisters, and they are so real, and their relationship is so real. They are a fantastic group of characters, and they just remind me of real people. Like Charlie, the youngest Widdershin sister, is just like my sister, and therefore one of my absolute favourite characters, because it's just like my younger sister in character form. I think it's fantastic. But also, Michelle Harrison's writing is incredible. The tension that this book has me feeling like on the edge of my seat the whole time. The danger and the risk feel so very real, and the way the magic and the mythology is like woven into it is just chef's kiss. It's beautiful. Absolutely love it. And these sisters have like a magical secret, and there are magical objects that they should or perhaps shouldn't have access to, and it's how they use them, how they break this curse, how they move on from this. It's fantastic, and I can't believe I haven't read the third one. I need to get to that ASAP because this series is fantastic. Atmosphere is top notch. Absolutely love it. And then finally, bagging itself top spot, we have Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. This seems like a cheat to almost put this in top spot because everyone knows and loves Nevermoor, but you can't escape it. It's such a fantastic book, and I cannot wait to read more from this. We've had 3 books now, Nevermoor, Wondersmith and Hollowpox, and they've all been absolutely fantastic. This is the story of Morrigan Crow, who is a cursed child destined to die on the eve of her 11th birthday. However, when that is just about to happen, she is swept away by a very eccentric man called Jupiter North, who takes her to the land of Nevermoor, where she must compete in a series of trials to gain her place in the Wondrous Society. And Nevermoor is such an imaginative, incredible place that, again, feels so real. Like, it's wild, it's whimsical, it's wonderful, and it doesn't necessarily always make sense, but something about it just feels so logical. Like, anything goes in Nevermoor, and therefore that makes sense. I just love it. I think the setting is fantastic. I think Morrigan is a brilliant character. Like, you root for her so deeply, but she's definitely a flawed character as well. Jupiter North is so easy to love, and the story is just so easy to fall into. Everybody seems to love Nevermoor, and if you're into middle grade and you haven't read it yet, what are you playing at? Because this is absolutely phenomenal and very deserving of top spot. I cannot wait to read more from Jessica Townsend. I think she is an absolute master of worlds, and I love this one so very much. So top spot goes to Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. And there we have it. There is my updated list of my top middle grades of all time. We'll see how much this changes, because there are definitely a ton more middle grade on my TBR. I'm always diving into new ones, and there are a lot that I'm very excited to get to, so I don't know how much this list will change in time, but maybe we'll revisit it again in a year and see what's different. But for now, that's my list. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and finding out what my top middle grades are. I would be very interested to know what your favourite middle grades of all time are, so please let me know down below. But if you have enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and fancy doing so, that would be awesome too. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying Vida. I hope that it's still fun for you. I hope that I'm still going with it. And yeah, I guess I will see you again tomorrow. Bye!